Today's podcast is brought to you by Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. Accidents happen. Without the right coverage from the right insurance company, damage to your automobile can be a real financial hit. That's why Kentuckians appreciate the competitive rates and personal service they get from Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. When the unexpected happens, count on us to help you get back on the road. To request a free quote, find your local KFB insurance agent at mykfbagent.com. Kentucky Farm Bureau, big on commitment. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
It's good. Derby was this last weekend.
We have survived the Derby. To be clear, that's, as everyone heard last week, slightly less of an accomplishment for me. I did just watch it.
Yeah,
just the 2 minutes. You actually survived the week living in Louisville or living around Louisville.
Yeah.
That is impactful.
Yes, we dodge it pretty good. We're just south, so we kind of stay out of it. All the people coming in town. Then we just went to a friend's house and I lost money. It's just little dollar bets. It's nothing crazy.
All right.
Buy a pick out of a cup.
You didn't like turn into a degenerate or anything.
Yeah, nothing crazy. Nothing crazy.
Just that once a year where I lose $1.
Yeah. But we have a really interesting guest. Gone back to the well on old bluegrass and backroad stories. Some things I just found were really cool and kind of rural Kentucky and very neat thing to try to find maybe some interesting guests. And definitely got one today, but it spurred a question for me.
Okay.
Have you rode a horse before?
So, as ag as I am, I've only ridden a horse once in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it was a horse that doesn't buck. Like it was a trail horse or whatever at this little, I don't know, it was some girl's birthday party.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, I bet Renee knows how. And I was like, nope. And they kept saying, you can pull back as hard as you want. The horse won't buck. Thank God, because every time I went the wrong way, I was yanking the far out of them freaking reins. It's weird not being in control. I was also like 10. So, yeah. This is going to sound great. No one offers me to get on their horse. Like, this is not like, hey, go move that tractor. Hey, can you move my truck?
Yeah.
Very rarely am I around someone that's like, hey, can you grab that horse and just hop on and ride her over there? Like, I have moved one on a halter. Like, my feet are on the ground.
Yeah.
No one's ever been like, hop on there, Renee. Ride her over to the other field. Yeah. That doesn't happen.
Nothing.
So have you rode a horse?
A few different times.
Oh my God, you're winning. You're beating me right now.
I know. City Matt's killing me.
City Matt's riding horses.
So we did one of those kind of situations in Colorado as a kid. Where
cool.
And you're right. It just the biggest memory I had is my horse was fine and just kept up. But my dad's was one of these that walked from shade spot to shade spot. And just would stand there, and then so it was. We were just laughing at him the whole time. That's my memory. And then my dad actually is friends with a guy who works with Tennessee Walkers, so he trained.
Those are smooth.
Yeah. So we went to his place, and he's got just a lot of horses, just in general. So we would ride their horses, and one time we were sitting there just kind of going along, and he gets his horse, the lead horse, going, and to me, I don't know how fast we were going, but I was not into it. Did you feel like it was maybe a gallop? It was a full gallop. It was a gallop. What did we just get? Canter?
I tried to say canter like I knew more about horse terms.
I think I was right.
And you were right.
Like,
canter is before gallop.
This was a gallop. I'm not going to pretend I'm doing what they're doing at the Derby. That's a whole nother thing. But,
right.
He was, it was probably just a jog to this horse, like just keeping up,
Yeah.
But it was a lot. It's an intense thing. So I could, to be a jockey going, 30 something, I don't even know how fast they're going with other horses next to you fighting and all the craziness that's going on, dirt flying in your face. And I just couldn't imagine it. So that's probably why you got to be highly trained.
Highly
trained to be a jockey.
Yeah, I'm not an adrenaline junkie whatsoever. Like, I enjoy having fun. I enjoy I'll ride a roller coaster. But I'm not one of those people that's like, I got a new vehicle. Let me see what this boy can do.
Right.
That's not me. I've just never had that in me. Yeah. And when other people do it and I'm with them, I'm like, why? Are we in a hurry? And they're like, no, I just want to see. And I'm like, why? So I don't think I am built to be in a situation where, well, first off, I'm not physically built to be a jockey, as we'll learn on the podcast. But I'm not built with the right, mental Like that doesn't get me going.
Yeah, you're competitive, right? You gotta be
Very competitive, yeah.
Right? But it's a race. It's something different, and it is like you're controlling. I'm sure these jockeys are amazing, but we learn that the best thing you can do is just let the horse be the horse.
Let the horse be the horse.
That horse, when I was galloping, was being the horse. I felt like I had zero control of what was going on. And I think the guy that, we went to his place, he knew that and thought it was a lot of fun just to get all of us. It was mostly the kids. My dad, I think my dad was to the point. But yeah, so that, just at the local farm market for a pumpkin, and they had a horse, and my kid was little. I'd hop on the horse with him. That's not really it. But that trail riding and actually riding all over a farm, that was pretty fun. I felt like I act like I really rode a horse.
Yeah.
That kind of.
Yeah. So do you want to hear my favorite horse story?
You bet.
Because everyone should have a favorite horse story. So we had cattle get out. That's not the fun part of the story. That was terrible. Blah, blah, blah. Long time ago. I was in high school. Whatever. Cattle get out. So when cattle get out, in some situations, you have to call someone in to help you wrangle said cattle back in. Mm-hmm. And so you can get them in groups and put them on trailers, all the different things. And so my man Craig Bannister, shout out, these cattle get out and we call him, and his voicemail is, "Hey, this is Craig. I'm either catching calves or cutting timber. Leave me a message." And I'm like, well, that's the most manly thing I've ever heard.
That's a man right there.
So I was like, well, this guy's cool. So he shows up. He's got some dogs and he's got his horse and all these things. So anyway, I kept missing it. Like we were in multiple vehicles. And so I was paired with another guy because we were trying to keep cell phone. It was a whole thing. So they kept roping calves. Like he would rope a calf and get it on this trailer, and I kept missing it. Like I would drive up and the trailer's pulling away. And I'm like, guys, we're getting to the point where this is less stressful because we're down to just a few left. I would like to see him rope a calf. I want to see it. So everybody's laughing. So finally, we're like on the second to last calf, and they call him. They're like, if you can get here in the next 5 minutes, you will see Craig rope this calf. So we run over there. We see him rope the calf. I think it's the coolest thing ever. He's sitting on his horse. Well, he gets off the horse to like kind of move the rope and tie the feet or whatever. And the horse is pulled back, like holding the lasso that's around the calf's neck tight so the calf can't go anywhere. And he gets irritated and goes, "Oh, you're too tight. Scoot up." And the horse took 2 steps forward. And I just stood there, and jaw drops, and I'm like,
horse whisper.
This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So then he gets back, moves the calf on. The horse, he's like, "Careful, don't step on it." And the horse starts high stepping to get over the calf so it doesn't step on the calf. So anyway, all I know is, I don't know if thoroughbreds do this. I don't know if Tennessee Walkers do this. All I know is Craig Bannister's cool horse that got our calves. I was like, this is the coolest horse ever. I get a chance to get on this horse. Once, the one time my whole life, that he was like, "Hey, do you want to jump on the horse and ride it and bring it back to the trailer?" And he was like, "Are you wearing muck boots?" And my muck boots wouldn't fit in the stirrups. So I didn't get to ride the coolest horse I'd ever been around.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite horse story. I want to have something one day, I don't care if it's a dog, a horse, something, where I'd be like, come on. And it just knows what I want.
I'll tell you how not manly I am. I am deathly allergic to horses. So...
Hi, this is Matt, and I'm definitely not cutting timber or catching cattle.
Wearing a mask. Let's get on the horse, guys. Yeah, I am not that guy at all.
Dad will ride with you, but let me grab my inhaler.
I need my inhaler just in my EpiPen, just in case. Yeah, so
we probably shouldn't go to jockey school.
I don't think we should go to jockey school. So, but if you are interested, you'll learn more today.
Boy, do we have a guest for you.
Yeah,
this is, I'm sure she'll love this opening.
Yeah.
She's fun. We really enjoyed talking to Dixie. We also caught her on one of the busiest weeks in the equine industry's life. It sounds like after you hear from her, though, her whole life is pretty busy. She's very involved, very good. So you guys are really going to enjoy her.
Yeah. This is a story loosely connected to, it is connected to the North American Racing Academy. We actually did a Bluegrass and Backroads story on them. I don't know, a long time ago. Emmy nominated, I believe. I don't know.
Ooh.
But yeah, great story. And it's a very unique thing, as you'll learn in the podcast. So yeah.
All right, let's get the listeners to it. I'm Renee Carrico.
I'm Matt Hilton.
Let's get rural. Dixie, so this has been quite a week for us to try to catch you. There's just a few things going on in Kentucky. So where are you taking the call from right now?
I am actually sitting in my car on my way to my next class, which is our racehorse riding course.
Very cool. Very cool. So Years ago, we produced a show called Bluegrass and Backroads, and we did a story on the North American Racing Academy and interviewed Chris McCarron, and I just thought it was such a neat story. And so we wanted to revisit here on the podcast and have somebody from it. So we really appreciate your time today. So tell us really where do you work, and kind of explain this whole idea and kind of where did it come from, and maybe even where it is today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am the program coordinator for the equine program at Bluegrass Community and Technical College. And our equine program is home to the North American Racing Academy. Mm-hmm. We are the only jockey school in the United States. So this is the same program that you guys had talked with Chris McCarron way back when. Mm-hmm. And we are actually in our 20-year anniversary this year.
Well, look at that. That's why you're on the podcast.
We did that on purpose.
We didn't do that on purpose. No, it's super cool. Yeah, we went years ago, and there was like a graduation race and all this stuff, and it was just really neat. And I think like to speak to that usually something gets started because there was a problem, right? Is that something? Was there really an issue, or was there a lower supply of jockeys or untrained jockeys? So what was really the reason this got started in the first place?
Yeah, so I mean, McCarron actually was laid up in a hospital, I think in Japan, and he started thinking about the fact that we don't have a training source for individuals to become jockeys in the United States. Almost every other country, in order to become a licensed jockey, you have to go through a formal training program. And still to this date in the United States, we are the only country that does not require that type of formal training. But Chris saw that there was a need for, an opportunity to help people achieve that goal of becoming a licensed jockey or licensed exercise riders. And so the Racing Academy was formed as part of that.
Okay, so first silly question. Like, how does...
No such thing.
Okay, so let me give a little background. So my family is from Louisiana originally. My parents are transplants to Kentucky, and so that's literally for a Louisiana kid, a kid born in Kentucky, raised from Louisiana parents. All we did was pick a Cajun jockey or a gray horse. That was their whole thing for a very long time. And so, and they always said, yeah, it's because you come from short stock, Renee. That's why Cajuns can be jockeys. I'm assuming there's just a smidge more skill and technical to it than just some tiny little Cajun fellers like Calvin Burrell and those that have been jockeys. So talk to me. How does one even find out they want to be a jockey? Have the skill set to know they should join a school like this? Like, how does that even go?
Yeah, I mean, I think I get a lot of different backgrounds that join the program. And so for us, we do have a selective admission process for the riding portion of our program. And that's a physical fitness test, a very basic riding test. And I'll tell you, I get a lot of individuals that have no background riding horses, but they're very athletic. They meet the weight requirements. And they're just someone that always wanted to be a professional athlete, but they were never going to make it in basketball, hockey, football, whatever it was. And they do very well. And a lot of it comes down to the desire to have that physical fitness aspect. And then obviously their ability to kind of bond with the horses and be able to get on with them. But then I'll get some that come into it and they've always had a love of horses. They love to ride. Going fast sounds really fun to them, so they want to kind of give it a go. And, that's the great thing about our program. It's a great chance for someone to kind of explore that and decide, yeah, this is something I see myself doing, or no, maybe that's a little too fast for me. I might try something else.
Yeah. So you said weight requirements. What's kind of, I don't know, what's the average jockey? And yeah, it's like any sport. I mean, I guess if you're an extremely good athlete, you could be 5'6" and play pro basketball. But you better be real stinking good. Yeah, this is just what it is. So what is the weight requirement? What's kind of like an average jockey? And what are you looking for there?
So so every rider, when they start out as a jockey, we call them an apprentice jockey. And so they'll go through a licensing process. They'll get a provisional license and they're labeled an apprentice jockey. And what that does is it incentivizes trainers to ride that jockey, even though they're not as experienced as, Calvin Burrell, Mike Smith, all those guys. And what incentivizes us as trainers is that they get a weight allowance. So as an apprentice jockey, you need to weigh in about 10 pounds less than the guys that have been doing it for years. And so we look for them to be around 105 pounds. Now, our program is not just for jockeys. We also take students in that want to become exercise riders. So that can be, there's no weight requirement currently for exercise riders, but we do cap our program at 140 pounds.
Yeah.
So I have had several students come through that have gone on to be great exercise riders. They're weighing anywhere 130, 135. But as far as our apprentice jockeys go, we're looking for them to be around 105 pounds.
Wow. So a select few. I mean, I see why you probably have a selection process, because that's not walking around everywhere nowadays.
No, it's not. But
Yeah.
you guys, you make a great point. So I was a licensed trainer before I joined the program, and I actually ran a horse at Mountaineer in West Virginia and had not had a chance to kind of meet the jockey population up there. So I picked the leading rider. I had a nice horse in the race and picked the leading rider and walked into the saddling paddock, and a 6-foot individual walked out in my silks. And I went, what's happening? Am I getting pumped? Like, is this some kind of initiation process or something? And that was my jockey. He was 6 foot and he weighed 110 pounds.
Oh my gosh. Well,
It was
one more
incredible.
background that you didn't need to know. My husband is 6'4". He listens to this too. I love that for him. He's 6'4" and was not that light, and they called him Twig because he wasn't nothing but skin and bones till we finally put some weight on him. So I cannot imagine what this cat looked like. I mean, he would have been thin. That's wild.
Yeah. No height requirements. You just got to meet the weight requirements.
Right.
So, okay, we're talking about how selective this process is just to even meet those base requirements. How often are we like graduating or kind of getting these guys out of there with certifications, whether that is a one of those ones that are just riding or one of the ones that is actually racing as a jockey? How often and how many?
Yeah, so we accept currently 4 students a year. And so we run courses once a year. So we start up in March. We do our tryout in December. We start up in March, and they'll run with us till about September. And then they'll get placed with a trainer to finish out in a internship. So by December, they're going to go out and be, hopefully fully licensed as an exercise rider. And then spending time with that trainer, decide when they're ready to go out and get that license as a jockey.
So you have been doing this particular program for how long?
I have been with the program, wildly enough, for 15 years now.
Wow.
So when you watch a Derby or the Oaks or a weekend at Keeneland, name your portion, how many of those jockeys on average, this may not be a fair question, like if you were to go for a day, do you know the majority of them? Have they gone through the school?
They have not. And that's one of the real challenges for us here in the U.S. is that there is not that requirement for someone to go through formal training. And the reality is that the majority of our jockey population is no longer from the U.S. I mean, you see a lot of people coming in from other schools and other countries, and a lot of that has to do with the weight, right? I mean, as an American population, we're not typically built at 105 pounds, so it is kind of far and few between to find them. But as far as our graduates that are out there riding races, they're a little bit sparse in that sense, but we really are happy with the quality of graduate. We have a young man, he was just a finalist for the Sovereign Award up in Canada as an apprentice jockey. And we went to France in 24. We run every year in the international apprentice race. And he actually got the win for us. It was the first time for the U.S. to bring home the win. So that was a really
incredible.
Cool feather in our cap for that. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So to talk again a little bit about you, how did you get there? What was your background, and what brought you to this role, and just let's learn a little more about your background.
Yeah, sure. I can say this because I can't get in trouble anymore, but I actually snuck off when I was 16 and became an exercise rider at Ellis Park. My parents thought I was going to summer camp. And I tell all my students, I'm like, guys, this is not the way to go about this. But I became an exercise rider. And then a few years after that, took out my trainer's license, trained horses for a bit, and actually managed a couple of farms, sales prep, brood bears, international quarantine. And it wasn't long after I won my first race as a trainer. I didn't feel like I was giving back enough to the industry. And I heard about the academy. I thought, man, it would be really cool to teach somewhere like that. Ended up getting a class as an adjunct. And the next semester they hired me on full-time temp, and I've been here ever since. So
yeah, it's got to be rewarding to, this is a, an elite community. This is a group of people that are, very unique, a unique part of the industry. Sometimes, these jockeys are not forgotten when they win, but, really the people that are behind these great horses that get all the love, and the horses should. They're great, they're great horses. But what's it feel like to try to give a go of fixing the industry in a way? I don't know if fixing is the word, but you guys are trying to bring it back, get more Americans involved. What's it feel like to every day get to do that and maybe chase someone's life? I remember when we did this story, we interviewed a young guy. He couldn't have been 18. And he said that. He's like, I was very athletic, but all the sports outgrew me. And I had nowhere to take that athleticism. And he turned out winning. I feel like it may still be a thing, like a graduate race, or like right at the end of the course, it was all the folks did a race, But he was just a great interview, and he said exactly what you said. But how does that make you feel, for someone to find the thing they should be doing, and something so niche and unique? It's got to be pretty cool to help, identify these people and help them on their path.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always compare it. I had the privilege of, winning a race as a licensed trainer. I had the privilege of running a horse through the auction ring at Keeneland and selling for over $1 million. And those were incredible experiences, but nothing beats watching my graduates succeed. And I screamed louder than any Kentucky Derby, any race that I ever was affiliated with before. I had a graduate rider first race at Churchill Downs, and I got to be there, stand alongside the trainer, watching her come down the stretch, and her winner first race out. I mean, I was hoarse by the end of it. I mean, it was just, it was my own Kentucky Derby. So it's really cool to get to follow my graduates and, see their stats pop up in the virtual stable, see what they're doing on the tracks. It's so rewarding. And being part of a community college, we get such a variety of students that come into this, and not just with our racing academy program, but students that want to go on and become, grooms, trainers, farm managers. To see them come from some of the backgrounds that they do, a lot of them first generation horsemen, it's pretty incredible to see the success that they have. And the best part of my day is the text that I get from my graduates. They're like, hey, look what I did. This is so cool. And, to get to say I'm so proud of them. And I am, just each and every one of them, what they've accomplished. It's so rewarding.
So, I mean, that's incredible. I hate to follow such a heartfelt answer with more technicality, but I think I'm kind of going to bounce off of what Matt said. When it comes to, a lot of people put a lot of weight on the horse, and the horse is obviously an integral part of a two-man team there. A lot of people put a lot of weight on the trainer. And then we always, during those big races, we're taking the shot in the crowd of the owner and the family or the multiple owners. Your background is so neat to me in the sense that you have been multiple pieces in this kind of pie. Talk through what the difference a jockey can make for those that are like me, that are from West Kentucky and we picked off of silly little things on our 2-minute race once a year. What difference can a well-trained, can a really good jockey make in a kind of race like that?
Yeah, I mean, I was very privileged that I got to work alongside Chris McCarron the first 5 years that I was with the program before he retired. And, I tried to be a sponge and learn everything I could from him. Not necessarily that I had any ambition to take over our riding program, but just because I wanted to understand the perspective from a jockey. And I mean, what better teacher than a Hall of Fame jockey like McCarron? But one of the things he said that really stuck with me was, the purpose, the greatness of a jockey is the individual who causes the least amount of hindrance to the horse. So the person that stays out of their way to do what they do best, but puts them in a spot that they stand the best chance of winning. So we actually take my intro to racing industry class to Churchill Derby week. We were just there yesterday, and we got to catch up with Jerry Bailey, and he kind of made a very similar comment. And he said, the horses will give you everything they got. You just got to put them in the right spot to win. So I think for a jockey to be able to understand track conditions and understand, where's the best place to be in the race based on, what the track's playing out that day, knowing who they're in and being able to read past performances. So what are the other horses in the field probably going to do in the race, and how does that affect your horse? Because if you're on a closer and there's no speed in the race, you got to kind of think through your plan on how you're going to keep that horse close enough to get into it. But even as a trainer and going to different tracks in different countries, when we went for that race in France, we're very, very privileged to have great relationships with the other racing academies. And one of the other coaches said to my grad, hey, these horses are really used to, you kind of get into the turn, take a hold of her, let her get a breath, and then send her on again. And it seemed a little counterintuitive. And I kind of joked with him. I said, look, if you're setting my kid up for failure, we're going to have a problem here. But he laughed. He said, I promise. No, this is good advice. And it was great advice. My graduate, Austin Adams, he said, I grabbed a hold of her, and it took everything I had to do that, because I thought, man, this might not be right. But he gave her that little breath, and he said it was like a new horse came underneath him, and she surged ahead. And so I think that knowledge and having that experience is so crucial. But to me, where an academy like ours could be so beneficial, learning how to read a past performance, learning how to understand track conditions. Nothing is going to replace experience, but the opportunity to have that education as you go into the field just puts you so many. I always tell people, you're not going to skip rungs on the ladder, but you're going to be able to climb that ladder faster because you're going to have the knowledge and the ability to know how to get up it. So, I think that can be really important. But yeah, a jockey, they make a huge difference. And sometimes for the worse, if they get in the horse's way, more often than not for the best, because they put that horse in the right spot.
Yeah, pretty cool. I think one thing when we came to the story, we came to do a video, so they took us to a lot of visual things. We saw all this cool stuff. But talk through kind of like, I'm a new student. What are some of the courses they get to do, and kind of just like describe this to the audience? I know there's like a simulation horse that you try to, I guess, just stay up in the stirrups as long as you can, and like all these different things. Yeah. I'm very naive to this, but I just remember these things and actually hitting the track and getting under one of these horses as they go full speed, all the different levels. When you're a new student, kind of what do you get when you first get there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, someone coming to our program, and this is one of the big things we've tried to market, is that, not just a jockey school. So someone can come to our program and they may want to go on to become a veterinarian. So we have a science track that they're going to be able to go pre-vet. We've got individuals that want to work at the track in other capacities than riding. We've got a business track. So depending on which area of focus you have, that kind of dictates what your courses will look like over the term. But for someone coming in for our racehorse rider program, they're going to take our equine care lab, and we have partnered with New Vocations, which is a racehorse adoption facility. We actually teach that course at their facility using their horses. So it's a great service to the industry to help some of these aftercare initiatives. And our students get the chance to handle a variety of horses because they've got horses constantly coming in, coming out. But that class is going to be a Monday through Thursday, 7 to 10 a.m. And then they'll take a career development, talk about interview skills, talk about resume writing, professionalism, what they need to do to be a professional in the industry. And then they'll take an intro to racing industry that will talk about reading a past performance, understanding their track polls, all the things they're going to need to know when they get down to the racetrack. And then their first riding courses with me at the farm, we're going to go through the basics of just kind of the technical skills of riding a racehorse. What's different riding a racehorse compared to any other discipline? Physical fitness tests. And we actually, since you guys last came out, we've got a really cool piece of equipment called an MK10 simulator. and we're the only ones in the country with that model, but it is a fully automated simulator that gets up to full gallop speed. So the students can actually get on this thing, and I can get in there and get my hands on them and help them with their position. But they do that simultaneously with getting on our string of school horses. So they'll go through all 4 of those classes. And then if they get through all 4 of those, move forward to our summer course. That's where we get back to the training center, and they're going down to the racetrack. They're riding in front of the outriders. And the hope is that the outrider signs off for them to get their exercise rider license. And then they get placed with a trainer that fall.
Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to see the simulator. I think I got on the old, I guess the more standard one. And
how'd you do?
They try to stay on there for like 2 minutes, and you got to make it do the thing. I didn't do very good.
I was about to say you're kind of puttering. Just get there.
I think like a light gallop is about as fast as I've ever gone on a horse. So I don't know. I don't know how good I am.
Yeah, we got to get you guys out on the simulator, and I'll put you through your paces. So my students have to do at least 90 seconds. Well, starting out around 90 seconds, they have to get on this thing and not be able to use their hands for balance. It's got some really cool, throughout this thing, it's got a lot of sensors. So if you bonk the saddle, you're a little heavy in one stirrup, whatever it is, it'll light up and tell us that. So it's been a really cool piece of equipment to get in there and help students with their form. And we actually are hopeful to work with, other organizations to start doing more with jockey education and help with kind of rehabilitation, things like that. But it's a cool piece of equipment.
Yeah, I think we could come. We'll bring a camera, and then you can show how to not to do it.
The weight on the sensors. I'm just gonna sit down. It's gonna be like not a jockey. No, that's awesome. I think we have a part 2 in our future. Okay, I have one more question, and then we want to be respectful of your time. I know there's a million things going on in general with what you do, but especially we know what we're doing when we're grabbing people, right? With all the Derby festivities and all the races that are happening this time of year. But we've talked about some international travel, some international opportunities for a lot of our listeners, primarily in Kentucky, and Kentucky Derby to them. And then I guess there's that Triple Crown, and there's a couple other races that we don't host, but to them, we're the Mecca, we're the home. All these people from all over the world come to us. Talk through, and I don't want to belittle Kentucky. I just want people to understand the global piece that is this equine industry, specifically thoroughbreds and racing and different pieces. Talk through maybe how much some of that international piece impacts what you do. And we've talked about it a little bit, how much your kids are able to travel once they're graduates. I mean, talk through that a little bit so people maybe understand the global impact of this is a little bigger than just Churchill Downs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Kentucky Derby is the Mecca worldwide, right? I mean, everybody's trying to get to the Derby. So we do have a stronghold here in Kentucky. And the beautiful part about the equine industry is that the local Kentucky person can have a career here and stay in Kentucky. But the opportunity to travel is just incredible. I mean, I've got a graduate right now, and he's bouncing around. He was in Australia. He just went to Japan. I think he's in Ireland now, and then he's heading back stateside. But all the job opportunities that give you such a chance to go and see the world. But the money influence from our international partners. So you've got Breeders' Cup coming up at Keeneland in October. That's what the championship race is. And that's everybody from across the world bringing their best horses, trying to win one of these championship races. And so you've got everybody from Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Japan, Australia, Ireland, England, France, so many different cultures coming together in just this pursuit of wanting to have the best horse in the race. But it's a really cool industry to be able to see the world. But everybody's trying to get to the first Saturday in May. I mean, that's no matter what you do in horse racing, you want somehow to be a part of the first Saturday in May.
Yeah, it's a great event. It's an amazing moment at the whole world looking at Kentucky at one time. It's probably the reason why I think our state song is one of the most known state songs.
For sure, because everyone has to hear it once a year.
Right, yeah. It is. It's just really a great highlight of who we are as a state, and So it makes a lot of sense that the jockey school of the United States is in this state. And so, yeah, we appreciate your time today. Really cool story. Is there, I'm listening and I'm interested in maybe trying this out or applying. How does someone get started? Is this a good place for a plug? Is there a website that someone can apply, and how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, if they get onto Bluegrass Community and Technical College's website, there's a page for the equine program. My contacts info is on there, and we also offer equine preview days. So there's links to be able to sign up and come out and see our program, meet our instructors, find out what career opportunities there are. And I'm always happy when I've got someone's particularly looking at our rider pathway to sit down and talk with them one-on-one and kind of figure out, what's the best plan and path there. But yeah, they can get on the BCTC website. All our contact info is there. We have social media, particularly on Instagram. Everything's BCTC Equine, because like I said, we are more than a jockey school, but we are very, very proud of our racing academy and our jockey program.
Well, that is perfect. I think we've rounded out pretty much the best way we can. Everybody wants to be at the Derby, and we love all things horses, and we've got some links to connect people. So I think that's perfect. Dixie, we cannot thank you enough. Appreciate you being on with us. And we are going to have to do a part 2 one of these days. I think we will get more text about the opportunity to video us looking like goobers on a simulator than anything else.
Absolutely. Hey, look, I'm a great teacher. We'll get you riding by the end of it. No problem.
All right. Well, thank you, Dixie. And thank you, listeners. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and listen to some of those older episodes. And we'll see you next time on Let's Get Rural.